I want to live in a world that is abundant, that's full of life, and that the food is really good.
And we're in a big commodity system out here, and if we can offset a portion of that, we're going to be doing good right now. That might be looking at more of a local food system. We need to start somewhere, and this type of meeting is that starting point for many of us.
I want to live in a world that feels like they're a part of the system rather than outside of the system.
How are we making rural economies more successful? We've seen a dearth of young people that exit the farm and they go to the big cities and they don't come back. We got a lot of dollars coming out of rural economies and going to the big cities, and it's not coming back.
Why are we poisoning the most valuable asset that we or any country has is the sustainability of the soil and the food system?
I want to live in a world that's rebalanced with nature, where nature is at the top of the return profile. Society and social capital is next. Then investors.
We're in Colton, Washington at the Red Barn Farm. It's in eastern Washington, close to the Palouse River Valley, mostly surrounded by large-scale wheat grain growers. We are a group of farmers, ranchers, entrepreneurs, experts, venture capitalists, people who are just actively involved in changing the food supply right now. And so often we work in our own silos, and it's time to get together and see what we can do collectively.
There's so many different interests that are represented here, and it's going to take that kind of collaboration to make this move.
I believe there's regenerative movement in the business side of it, and there's regenerative movement in the soil side.
We started to bring in more cover crops. We started to reduce the synthetic inputs, started to bring in livestock to do some grazing, not on large scales, but on smaller scales. And it seemed like every time we did that, we saw better soil structure, better soil health, better crop quality, and all the things that they said would start to happen were happening.
It's simply that we evolve, and if it's not a sustainable system, then it's our obligation to change.
Spending time with our farmers and being out on their farms and seeing that these guys are farming 5,000, 10,000 acres, huge swaths of land, and they are proving that they have reduced their dependency on chemicals. They have increased their carbon sequestration. They're balancing the buffer systems of their pH. They're reducing flooding and other, issues having to do with broken water cycles, carbon cycles, nutrient cycles, and they're doing it without losing yield. Like, we can still feed the world, and we can do it better with regenerative agriculture.
And so this transition allows us to really step back and think about, the way things can be different, that we truly can have transformative change.
But I think the farmers in general need to be sustainable themselves. Their families need to be sustainable. It should be abundant where they live. They're like a foundation stone to our culture, to our communities. Without the food, what do we have?
I would really love to see the future of agricultural systems be very localized.
Having such a strong regional food system that if something like COVID happened again, it wouldn't shut us down. It wouldn't shut our supply chains down. Just having such a strong rural food system again.
When you farm regeneratively, by definition, you are farming foods that are going to be more locally consumed, more locally produced, and therefore more of not only the food, but the capital, the assets stay in that community, and you give a rural community a chance to economically recover.
I think there's excitement around this movement. So as I look at these kind of opportunities to bring a crowd like this together that truly can make change, I think it's not actually out of the realm of possibility that we could see this happen, that we can see this transition happen in our lifetime, and we have farmers that are going to truly lead the way and innovate to make it happen.
We will no longer accept the food supply that makes us sick.
An agricultural system that makes farmers go broke.
And an industrial economy that endangers future generations.
Together, we believe we can create a world that values community.
Where we take care of each other our planet, and our natural resources.
We invite you to join us as we reinvent our food supply.
Redirect resources into rural communities.
And create a new American dream.